Hey folks, Mike from LI Flies Mike here, and today we're going to be tying one of my favorite Popovics creations, the Hollow Fleye. Stick around till the end of the video to find out how you can win a Hollow Fleye for yourself. Starting off with a Gamakatsu SL12S big game in a 4-odd size, we're going to get some thread and work back towards the hook point here. And then we're just going to take some bucktail, taking the shorter hairs out and tying this 360 degrees around the hook. This is going to provide a base for the tented saddle hackle tail that we're going to be tying on this fly. You can feel free to tie these with just bucktail. I don't have bucktail that's long enough. So we're going to be using some white saddle hackle. This is some thin white saddle hackle we're going to be using here, and I'm going to tie this in a tented style where it's tied in at a 45-degree angle. I'm just using a couple wraps to secure it and not use too much thread pressure so we can kind of keep that angle while we work with the feathers. So taking some grizzly saddle hackle here, we're going to do the same thing and just tie this right on top. And you could see the tented hackle with that 45-degree angle gives us a really nice tail section that's going to catch a lot of water. So once you get it where you like it, you can wrap forward much tighter, kind of securing the hackle down, and then we could trim it and then work our thread and kind of clean up the section. So next I'll take some silver Flashabou here. You can use whatever flash you like, and I'm just going to take a bunch of it and kind of pull on the ends to taper it slightly, and then just loop this and tie it on. So now we're going to do our first hollow tie here. You want to use the softest and longest bucktail you can on the tail. Now this is just a random tail I got at my fly tying store. This isn't even hollow quality, I would say. This is far too stiff, but you can use it. So I found the softest material and the longest material. I'm going to take a pretty big bunch here. I would say almost the width of a pencil. And I'm going to take all the shorter hairs out. And what you could do is you could tie this essentially in one tie. It's very important that we use a minimal amount of thread wrapping here. So I'm just going to essentially do a couple of semi-loose wraps, and the bucktail will spin around the hook shank. And then I can kind of work that bucktail to where I like it. And then give it a couple more tighter wraps, right? But essentially you only want to do maybe 3 or 4 or 5 wraps after that. The least amount of thread wraps, the better. Then we could fold this bucktail back, weaving our thread through the bucktail so we can get a nice clean tie. And then we're just going to wrap right in front of it. Now it's important with a hollow fly you don't wrap on top of the bucktail. What we're essentially doing is we're building a thread dam in front of the bucktail. And it's important that your ties are perfectly even top and bottom, left and right. Otherwise you'll see there's some irregularity in terms of where the bucktail is flaring out. But the whole idea is this bucktail is tied forward and then folded back. We're building this thread dam in front to put tension in front of the bucktail. So this is very important. Depending on the profile that you want of the fly, you can either wrap more thread or wrap less. So if you want a very exaggerated profile, you could leave it extremely flared out. And if you'd like to have a little bit more of a subdued profile, you can wrap down more. And you'll see how the bucktail actually adjusts its flare as you tighten that thread collar in front of it or build up that thread dam. Now something that I find is very important is always to put some super glue on your thread dam after you've built it up and before we move forward. Because what you can find is at times the thread can slip. And I'm using 210 denier flat wax nylon. I see a lot of people using mono, and I'm going to have to experiment more with mono for my hollow flies. But no matter what, we want to make sure this tie is durable. So now we can move forward, giving ourselves a slight gap to work with, but leaving some room for our next tie in front of this one. And we're going to do the same thing, just using some white bucktail. Again, tying it on with just a couple semi-loose wraps, and then we can tighten it down with another 3 or 4 wraps. when working with the hollow bucktails, if you wrap the thread too much, what you'll find is that you end up building essentially too much of a bump behind your Hollow Fleye tie. So if you tie too much thread on there, it could really kind of screw up your hollow tie. So trying to work with the least amount of thread wrapping while still securing the bucktail is pretty important with hollow flies. Something that's important as well is not catching the tag ends of the bucktail when you fold it back. So be careful not to have those tag ends be caught by the thread. You can always wrap on top of your tag ends of the hollow tie, but I like to leave them the way they are and just be mindful of that when I fold it back. So now it's very deceiving, the look of the fly when it's in the vise as opposed to what it's actually going to look like in the water. In saltwater fishing, we almost always have some sort of current, or we're using intermediate lines where we're manipulating the line all the time. So this fly is actually going to taper down. So what I recommend is leaving your ties pretty exaggerated in terms of the flare. You could see we're pretty much working with, I'd say, a 45-degree angle on the flare of the hair. And you don't want to have it taper too far back, because in the water it will collapse to a certain degree, right? Even though the bucktail is under tension. So depending, you can really manipulate the type of bait you're going for by just how much thread you put in front of it. So my favorite thing is, of course, you could tie this fly in all white. Popovics used to do a lot of two-tone type flies by taking a bright or dark color and tying it in the front of the fly with a white body. We can get a really nice look. So I'm going to be using some fluorescent pink bucktail here, and essentially just doing the same thing that we've been doing with our hollow ties. This tail was a little better. I was able to find a little bit softer material than the white. So again, you're going to have to look through and get the right bucktails. But I wanted to tie this fly with, I mean, this is fairly decent quality bucktail, but this isn't what I would call hollow quality. This isn't like a primo tail. This is just your regular tail that I just sifted through and found the best ones. So you can tie hollow flies, very fishable hollow flies, with your plain standard bucktail. You need to just look for the best quality ones at your shops and open up the tails and look through them. The other option is you can always go ahead and buy specialized bucktails from people like Brad Buzzy at Buzzfly, for instance. He's been doing it for a very long time. And it'll be more expensive, but you can ensure that you're going to get yourself a bucktail that is usable for something like a hollow fly. After building the thread dam on the pink tie here, we're just going to throw a couple whip finishes and again apply some super glue here to our thread dam. We'll be tying some more bucktail hollows in the future. We'll make sure to tie a beast fly at some point, and I think we'll use some mono thread just so we could see what the difference is when tying hollow flies and what it's like tying with different threads. So I myself have been tying hollow flies for a long time, but I am no master of the hollow fly. We may need to get Max from Predator Prey Flies one day to come and give me a lesson on camera here. But this is the sort of fly you're going to be working on for a while when it comes to the technique. Some people get it right away. For me, it's something that I feel like I'm going to be working on my hollow ties for a long time. Now, they're beautiful flies, they catch fish, but it's a personal thing of trying to get that picture perfect profile. But I was very happy with this fly. Using lesser quality bucktail, we're still able to achieve a very decent fishable hollow fly. They don't need to be fancy, right? And you could see once we wet the fly, the profile of the fly completely changes. So I really recommend just diving into the world of hollow flies, finding the best quality bucktail you can at the price you can afford, and then just go ahead and dive into it. They're not going to be perfect. It's the sort of technique you're going to have to work on a lot. But now for the giveaway rules. The last Friday of every month we give away a Fleye. I'll be giving away a Hollow Fleye here on the channel. So you're just going to have to like the video, be subscribed to the channel if you're not already, and leave a comment down below. And I'll give it about a week or so, and then during our live stream on a Friday night, I'll pick a winner via a random comment picker, and we'll determine who the winner is. You'll have to send me a message with your shipping address, either via Instagram, Discord, or email. So be on the lookout. If you do comment on this video and you're trying to win the Fleye, be on the lookout. I will respond to your message. Well, my name is Mike here from LI Flies Mike. We have new fly fishing and fly tying videos coming out every week, live fly tying on Friday nights, as well as early access for members. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great season out there this year. Till the next one. Tight lines.